What if someone vanished from a plane in midair? No crash, no noise, just gone. And what if you were sitting just one row away? This happened, and it starts with seat 27B. Flight 607 was a normal flight, full of passengers, quiet cabin, smooth weather. It took off from New York, heading to Denver. Just under 4 hours. Nothing special. Jake was in seat 27A, a window seat. He remembers it all clearly. Next to him, in the middle seat, 27B, was a man. Around 40. Business suit. Quiet. Had a silver watch and a leather briefcase tucked under the seat. He didn't say much. Just nodded once, then stared ahead. Typical plane neighbor. Jake watched a movie, listened to music. A few times, he noticed the man shifting in his seat, drinking water, looking at his phone. Normal stuff. Then 2 hours and Jake fell asleep. He woke up just before the plane started to descend. He looked to his right. The seat was empty. No bag. No briefcase. No sign anyone had ever been there. He thought maybe the guy went to the restroom. But then the flight attendant came by to check seatbelts. She looked at Jake and asked, "Where's the person next to you?" Jake blinked. "He's probably in the restroom?" The flight attendant checked the back, then the front, then the other side of the plane. She came back. Her face looked tight. "We never had a passenger in 27B, she said. Jake laughed. Thought she was joking. He said, "Of course you did. I sat next to him the whole flight." She shook her head. "Our manifest shows the seat was empty." Jake pointed to the water bottle the man drank from. It was still in the cup holder. "I didn't bring that," he said. Now the other passengers started whispering. The man across the aisle said, "I saw someone sitting there earlier." But the flight crew looked nervous. The captain came out, serious. He told everyone to stay seated. Jake opened the seat pocket. Inside, there was a boarding pass. Seat 27B. Name, Daniel Hale. He handed it to the flight attendant. She scanned it with her tablet. Her eyes widened. "There's no Daniel Hale on this flight. Not in the system. Not in our records. Not anywhere." The plane landed. Police were waiting. They searched the entire aircraft, from cockpit to cargo hold. No Daniel. No bag. No trace. He was there, and then he wasn't. And no one can explain how. But this isn't the strangest part. That comes in the next chapter. Because Daniel Hale? He wasn't just missing. He was declared dead 5 years ago. Last chapter, we learned about the man who vanished from seat 27B. His name was Daniel Hale. The airline says he was never on the flight. But Jake, he sat right next to him. He saw him, spoke to him. And now, things are getting even stranger. The plane had landed. Police and airline officials stood at the gate, trying to keep people calm. Passengers were pulled aside, questioned one by one. Jake was the first. He repeated everything. "He was there when I boarded. He had a black briefcase. Silver watch." He didn't talk much. The officer nodded slowly. "Can you describe his face?" Jake did. Every detail. Hair color, eye shape, even a small scar near his lip. They wrote it all down. Then they showed him the passenger list again. His name wasn't there. And yet, Jake still had the boarding pass. Daniel Hale. Seat 27B. So they checked it. The officer's face changed. He walked away and spoke into a radio, quiet and tense. Jake sat there, feeling like he was losing his mind. Maybe it was a mistake. Maybe someone switched seats. Maybe it was just a weird glitch. But then a man from the airline's security team walked in. Serious. Cold eyes. He said, "Sir, do you know the name Daniel R. Hale?" Jake shook his head. Never met him before this flight. The man paused. Then he dropped the bomb. Daniel Hale died in 2018. Plane crash. Colorado mountains. No survivors. Jake stared at him. That's not possible. He was sitting next to me for 3 hours. The room went quiet. The investigator looked at the boarding pass again, scanned it through a device. It beeped. Where did you get this? He asked. Jake said, it was in the seat pocket. I swear. The investigator looked disturbed. That flight number, Flight 607. It's not the first time something like this has happened. Jake's heartbeat picked up. What do you mean? The man leaned in. 4 years ago, a woman claimed she saw her dead husband on a flight from Dallas. Same airline. He disappeared mid-flight too. Jake felt dizzy. Why didn't we ever hear about this? The man said quietly, because we don't talk about it. The airline buries it. But now, this is the third case. Jake whispered, third? The man nodded. Same pattern. Someone boards. No ticket. No record. They sit in silence. Then, vanish. Like they were never there. Jake asked the one question he didn't want the answer to. Why is it happening? The man said, we don't know. But it always happens on the same route. New York to Denver. Flight 607. Every time. Jake stood up. I'm not crazy. I know he was real. The officer looked at him. We believe you. But we also believe something else. Jake's eyes narrowed. What? The man opened a file. Inside, a photo. Blurry, but clear enough. It was from an airport security camera near the gate. Daniel Hale. Same suit. Same briefcase. Same silver watch. Time stamped just 20 minutes before boarding. Jake pointed. See? He was there. The officer shook his head slowly. That's from 5 years ago. 2018, Denver Airport. Before his crash. Jake stared. Same photo. Same man. Same expression. Impossible. Unless something else is happening here. Something no one understands. And just when Jake thought things couldn't get worse, his phone buzzed. A known number. He picked it up. The screen read, Daniel Hale. No ringtone. Just one word on the line. One whisper. Why didn't you listen? Next chapter, we go back to the original crash. To the mountain where Daniel Hale died. Because if Jake wants answers, he has to go there himself. But what he finds waiting in the wreckage, it wasn't supposed to survive. Last time, Jake received a phone call. From the man who vanished mid-flight, a man who died 5 years ago. His name? Daniel Hale. And he whispered, why didn't you listen? Now Jake is searching for answers. But the more he looks, the more reality starts to break apart. The airline didn't want him talking. They told him it was all a mistake. That maybe he fell asleep and imagined it. That no one else remembered a man in seat 27B. But he wasn't alone. 2 passengers from Flight 607 came forward. The woman in 28C, the row behind, said she remembered a man with a briefcase getting up mid-flight. She said, I saw him stand, walk toward the restroom, but he never came back. And the man in 26A swore he heard 2 voices talking in the row behind him. Jake's voice and a deeper one. But when they landed, no one could agree on what Daniel looked like. Some remembered his suit. Others remembered a sweater. Some thought he had glasses. Others said he didn't. Details didn't match. Time didn't line up. Memories blurred. And then, security footage was released. That's when it got worse. Jake got a call from a retired airport employee. A man named Ellis. He said, I saw the tape from the boarding gate. You were there and so was he. Jake asked, so he was on the flight? Ellis replied, no. He was behind the glass, near the windows, watching. He never walked through the gate. He just watched you board. Jake froze. That's not possible. He was sitting next to me. Ellis whispered, that's what scared me. Because I've seen him before. 5 years ago. Same place. Same gate. Jake now had one lead, the crash site. The one where Daniel Hale was found dead in 2018. He drove out to Colorado. A remote mountain road, deep snow, no signals. The crash had been cleaned up years ago, but wreckage still scattered the trees. Twisted metal, pieces of the wing, a blackened engine. Locals told stories. Strange lights, voices in the woods, phones ringing with no signal. One man, a hiker, said, "Sometimes I hear a plane flying overhead. But when I look up, there's nothing, just sky." Jake hiked to the crash site. It was quiet, too quiet. The air felt heavy. He stood where the fuselage had broken in half. Then, his phone rang. No signal, no service, but it rang. The name flashed, unknown caller. He answered. Static, then breathing, then a voice he recognized. "You shouldn't be here." It was Daniel. Jake said, "What do you want from me?" The voice said nothing, but in the static, a faint whisper came through. "Look under the seat." Jake turned slowly. There, in the snow, was a broken airplane seat. Rusted, faded, but the number was still there. 27B. Jake reached underneath it and found something. A phone. The cracked screen. He held the power button. It turned on. One message. A video file. Jake played it. The screen was black for a moment. Then it showed a recording. A man's face. Shaking. It was Daniel Hale. He looked terrified. "If you're watching this," he said, "they've already found you." Jake stared in horror. Daniel looked over his shoulder. "They don't like being seen," he whispered, "and they don't want us to remember. That's why they take people. From the skies." The video glitched. Daniel's last words came through. "Don't trust the airline." The screen went dark. And then, from the woods behind Jake, a phone started ringing. He's not alone in the mountains. And the next person to vanish might be him. Jake is standing in the middle of a forgotten crash site. A phone in his hand. A message from the dead. And now, another phone is ringing behind him. But there's no one else out here, is there? Jake turns slowly. The sound is faint, but steady. A ringtone echoing between the trees. It's an old-school tone. Something from a decade ago. Not from any modern phone. He follows it. Step by step. Snow crunching under his boots. Breath visible in the freezing air. Then he sees it, half buried beneath a collapsed wing, near the edge of a torn pine tree. Another phone. Jake hesitates, then picks it up. It stops ringing the second his fingers touch it. The screen flashes white. Then a single audio file appears. No name, no date, just a play button. Jake taps it. Static. Then a voice. Not Daniel's this time. A woman's voice. So, nervous. "I don't know how much time I have. This is for whoever finds it. My name is Amanda Fry. I was on Flight 607 5 years ago. The same one Daniel Hale was on." Jake's eyes widen. Amanda Fry was listed as missing. Not among the crash victims. Not among the survivors. Her case was never solved. She continues. "They told us it was a malfunction. That we were going down. But it wasn't the plane. It was something inside the plane. Something not human." The static grows stronger. Jake leans in, frozen. "I saw people vanish," she whispers. "Just blink out. No sound. No trace. Row by row." Then her voice drops. "I think they're feeding off memory. Taking people the world won't notice. Cleaning the records." Even the manifest changed mid-flight. Jake drops the phone in the snow, breath shaking. He looks around. The trees seem closer now. The silence pressing in harder. He turns back to leave and freezes. There are footprints in the snow behind him. Not his. They come from nowhere and stop directly behind where he's standing. Jake spins around. Nothing. But now, his own phone buzzes. A new voicemail. No missed call. Just a voicemail. He plays it. A deep, garbled voice fills the speaker. "You were not supposed to find the seat." Jake backs away. "Who are you?" The voice replies, "You sat next to a ghost, Jake. And now you're on the list." The line goes dead. Jake sprints through the trees, heart pounding. Every shadow feels like it's moving. Every gust of wind carries voices that aren't there. He reaches his car. But the door is open just slightly. Inside, a black briefcase sits on the passenger seat. It's Daniel's. Jake opens it. Inside, flight documents, boarding passes, photos of other passengers. Some Jake recognizes from his own flight. Some he doesn't. And then, tucked into the side pocket, a photo of Jake, sitting in seat 27A, taken from the middle seat, from 27B. His stomach turns. Someone, or something, has been watching him from the beginning. Suddenly, his radio turns on by itself. Only static. But underneath it, a voice begins to form. Flight 607, now boarding. There is no Flight 607 today. But it's calling to him anyway. Jake just found a briefcase in his car. Daniel Hale's briefcase. The same man who vanished mid-flight. The same man who died 5 years ago. Inside the case? A photo of Jake, taken from the empty seat next to him, 27B. Now, something is following him. He drives away from the crash site as fast as he can, tires sliding over icy roads. His hands are shaking. The voice on the radio keeps looping. Flight 607, now boarding. Flight 607, now boarding. There's no signal, no service. But the voice doesn't stop. He finally pulls into a motel off the highway. Well, quiet. Just one dusty lamp flickering in the parking lot. Jake grabs the briefcase, locks the door behind him, and spreads everything out on the bed. Boarding passes. Passenger photos. Notes written in faded ink. Some of the names he recognizes, people from his flight. Others? He doesn't. He sees one photo, a woman with dark hair. Her name, Lena Marks. She's marked with red pen, observed. 26C, not in manifest. Jake grabs his laptop and searches her name. Nothing. No social media. No address. No obituary. No airline record. It's like she never existed. But Jake remembers her. She helped him store his bag in the overhead bin. She smiled. Said, "Don't worry, it'll be a smooth flight." So why wasn't she listed anywhere? He checks another file in the briefcase. It's a printed out chat log. 2 airline employees. Internal messages. Dated 3 days before Jake's flight. Employee 1, "We have another one." Employee 2, "Same row." Employee 1, 27B. Again. Employee 2, "Are we reporting it?" Employee 1, "No. You know the rule. If they're not in the manifest, they're not our problem." Jake stares at the screen. The airline knows. They've been hiding it, covering it up. Passengers have been appearing and disappearing, and as long as they're not officially recorded, no one asks questions. Jake turns to the photo of Daniel Hale. He was the first, and maybe the only one who tried to warn people. That's why he left the briefcase. That's why he called Jake. Suddenly, there's a knock at the motel door. 3 slow knocks. Jake peeks through the peephole. No one's there. Then, his phone buzzes. One new message. A picture of him, right now, standing at the motel door. The caption reads, "Window seat, row 27, still watching." Jake stumbles back, heart racing. He turns off the lights, hides behind the dresser, tries to breathe quietly. Then the radio in the room clicks on by itself. Same voice, same calm tone. Final call for Flight 607. All passengers, please proceed to gate 27. He rips the cord out of the wall. But the voice keeps playing. From every device. His phone. His laptop. The motel TV. Final call for Flight 607. Then the room phone rings. He lets it ring 10 times. Then it stops. But a paper slides under the door. Jake crawls forward and picks it up. It's a boarding pass. Passenger, Bar, Miller. Seat, 27B. Flight, 607. Departure, unknown. He wasn't next to the vanished seat anymore. He was in it. Jake just received a boarding pass. Not from any airline desk. Not from any website. It was slid under his motel door by something he never saw. Flight 607. Seat 27B. The very seat where Daniel Hale vanished. Where all of this began. He stares at the ticket in his hands. The name is his. The flight number is correct. But there's no departure time. No gate. No airport. Just a black smudge where those details should be. Jake grabs his bag and storms out of the motel. He needs to leave. Get out of Colorado. Away from the mountains. Away from whatever this is. But as he drives toward the nearest city, he keeps seeing it on billboards, bus stops, radio ads. Fly beyond time, Flight 607. Direct. Final. Forever. None of it makes sense. Then his GPS stops working. The screen glitches and reboots. When it finally reloads, it's giving him directions to a place he didn't search for. Terminal 27. Gate B, 13 minutes. He tries turning it off. Throws the phone in the back seat. But the radio turns on. And a voice, clear analysis. Passenger Jacob Miller, you are late. Jake slams the brakes. The world outside has gone strange. The sun is still in the same place it was an hour ago. Unmoving. Frozen in the sky like a painting. There are no cars on the road. No wind. No noise. Just that slow ticking inside his ears. He checks the briefcase again. Inside, where the papers were, is now just a single photograph. It's of him, but he's sitting in an airplane seat, looking out the window, wearing the exact clothes he has on now. And in the reflection of the window, there's someone behind him, standing, faceless, watching. He looks up, and in the distance, through the trees, he sees it. An airport terminal, but not any normal terminal. This one's crumbling, overgrown, covered in vines, like it's been abandoned for decades. And yet, the neon sign above the glass doors flickers. Flight 607, now boarding. He walks slowly toward it. The inside is eerily silent. Empty chairs, dust in the air. But the gate monitor is glowing. Gate B, Flight 607, on time. A single boarding agent stands at the desk. No face, just a smooth blur where features should be. Jake steps forward, hands over the strange ticket. The agent scans it. Beep. Seat 27B, the agent says in a voice that sounds like wind in a cave. Window. Jake walks down the empty jet bridge. He doesn't remember boarding the plane. But suddenly he's inside it. Alone. No other passengers. But the lights are on. The seatbelt signs glow. He walks to his row. 27A, 27B, 27C. Only one seat is empty. 27B. His name is stitched into the fabric now. He sits down, slowly. The window beside him is dark. Like the night outside isn't sky, but space. He breathes heavily, then hears it. A whisper from the seat beside him. You came back. Fearns. Daniel Hale is there. But his eyes are hollow. His body flickers like static. You shouldn't have come, Daniel says. Once you sit in the window seat, you see everything. Jake whispers, see what? The plane begins to move. Outside the window, the stars are wrong. Too many. Too bright. Too close. The plane lifts into the air. But there's no sound. No gravity. Just silence. Then Daniel leans close and whispers, "This flight never lands." Jake is aboard Flight 607, Seat 27B, a seat that's taken people before him, one by one, silently, without a trace. Daniel Hale is beside him again. But this time, Daniel isn't warning him to run. He's warning him that it's already too late. The cabin lights flicker, and Jake feels weightless, like gravity forgot about him. He presses his hand against the window. But there's no ground below. No clouds. No sky. Only endless black. And the stars? They're not stars. They move. They pulse. They watch. Jake turns to Daniel. "Where are we going?" Daniel doesn't blink. Doesn't breathe. Just stares forward. "We're between," he says. "Not in the air. Not on Earth. We're where time loses its shape." Jake grips the seat arms. "I want off this plane." Daniel's face twitches. "You were chosen. Once you sit in 27B, the flight takes you." Jake stands up and turns to walk down the aisle, but it's changed. The back of the plane is gone. Not damaged. Not broken. Just missing. Rows behind him stretch forever. Seats duplicated. Repeating. Like a mirror reflecting into itself. Infinite. He walks forward. First class. Cockpit. But every door he tries is locked or opens to nothing. Just pitch black. No crew. No pilots. No controls. He returns to his seat, heart pounding. Daniel is gone. Jake is alone. Then he hears it. Over the intercom. A distorted voice. Garbled but familiar. His own voice. "Passenger Jacob Miller, please return to your seat. The flight must continue." Jake shouts, "Why me? What do you want?" The voice answers, "You remember. Most forget. You looked when others closed their eyes." The seatbelt light flashes red. Suddenly, turbulence shakes the plane, except nothing outside is moving. Just the cabin, like it's resisting something. Then Jake sees something across the aisle. A figure. Not walking. Floating. Its face constantly changing. A blur of all the passengers who've sat in 27B over the years. Their eyes hollow. Mouth silent. It drifts closer. And in its hand, it holds Jake's boarding pass. But the seat number has changed. Not 27B anymore. Nausis. Infinity. Jake backs away, and the intercom crackles again. Final seating assignment confirmed. No exits. No return. Welcome to the eternal route. He tries opening the emergency exit. The handle is cold, but it won't budge. He kicks it, slams it, then hears a whisper in his ear. "You're already gone." Suddenly, he wakes up. In his car, parked outside the motel. Morning. Birds. The ticket is gone. The briefcase gone. Everything normal. Was it a dream? A hallucination? He checks his phone. No missed calls. No strange messages. But then, a notification. An unread voicemail. He plays it. The message is short. 5 words. His own voice. "You never left the flight." Jake just woke up. In his car. Outside the motel. Morning light. Birds chirping. But something's wrong. It feels too perfect. Like a set made to look real. And on his phone? A voicemail in his own voice. "You never left the flight." Jake sits still in the driver's seat, gripping the wheel. He stares at his reflection in the rearview mirror. His face is pale. His eyes are tired. And yet, behind them, something feels different. The motel behind him is silent. The cars in the lot haven't moved. The same leaves lie on the ground, exactly as they did yesterday. He gets out slowly. No wind. No people. No sound except for the faint hum in the air, like the low whine of a jet engine. But there's no plane in the sky. He checks into the front desk. The clerk smiles too widely, eyes too still. "Back again, Mr. Miller?" she says. He freezes. "Back again? You always return. Flight 607 has a way of doing that." Jake backs out, stumbles toward his car. This isn't real. Or it is? but not completely. It's like some version of reality. Like the world tried to rebuild itself after he left the plane, but didn't know how to finish the picture. He drives into town, except there's no town. Just empty buildings. Stores with nothing on the shelves. Streetlights blinking out of sync. And behind every window, people frozen. Not dead, not alive. Just paused. Jake walks into a diner. The door chime dings, but no one moves. A waitress stands behind the counter, holding a coffee pot mid-pour. Eyes locked on nothing. Jake waves his hand in front of her face. No reaction, but then her lips twitch, just slightly, and she whispers, "Did you see the sky?" Jake steps back. "What?" "Don't look at the sky," she says. "It watches when you remember." He runs outside, looks up. The sky is no longer blue. It's gray, glassy, like the world is trapped behind a mirror. And as he stares, it ripples. Then something blinks back. Not eyes, not human, just a shape, an outline. Watching. Jake races back to his car, and on the windshield, written in fog from the inside, is a message. 27B wasn't your seat. It was your gate. He wipes it off. Then the radio turns on. But this time, it's not Flight 607. It's a recording. A news report. He listens closely. This morning marks 5 years since the mysterious disappearance of Flight 607. Officials say all records of the flight have been lost. But one man, Jacob Miller, continues his search for answers. He claims to have survived the flight, though no proof has ever confirmed he was on board. Jake's heart skips. He turns the dial. Every station plays the same report. Different voices, different accents, same words. He wasn't supposed to return, or maybe he never did. He opens the glove box. Inside is a photo. Sitting on a plane. But this time, he's looking out the window and smiling. And in the background, that same faceless figure, closer than ever, its hand on his shoulder. His phone rings again. No caller ID. He answers. "Who is this?" Jake asks. Silence. Then his own voice replies. "We landed, Jake. You just don't know where yet." Jake is driving. Roads bend strangely, looping back where they shouldn't. Street signs blur when he looks at them. Buildings repeat like copied images. It's the town he knows, but not exactly. He pulls over, breathing hard. Everything around him is off. Too still. Too clean. Like a memory someone tried to rebuild from fragments. He stares at the photo again, the one he found in the glove box. Him on the plane, smiling. And that thing behind him, faceless, watching. He turns it over. There's handwriting on the back. "You were never supposed to leave your seat." Jake drives to his old apartment, the one he left before the flight. He parks, runs up the stairs, and knocks on the door. A stranger answers. "Can I help you?" the man says. Jake hesitates. I used to live here." The man frowns. "I've been here 5 years." Jake tries to explain, but the man just shakes his head and shuts the door. He walks down the hallway, his hands trembling. He doesn't belong here. Not anymore. He tries calling someone. Anyone. His mom. His sister. His friend Marcus. No answer. Every voicemail says the same thing. The number you have dialed is no longer in service. He logs into his email. His inbox is gone. Not empty, gone. Account not found. He checks the airline's website. Looks up Flight 607. No results. Not even old press releases. No news articles. It's like the flight was erased from time itself. Then something hits him. What if it was? What if he was? He rushes to the library. Finds an old newspaper archive. scrolls through the date of the flight. Nothing. No crashes. No disappearance. Just a regular Tuesday. Jake slams the keyboard in frustration. Then he finds something. One tiny article. No headline. No photo. Just a 2-sentence blurb buried deep in the back. Local man Jacob Miller reported missing 5 years ago. Case remains open. That's it. One line. Like he was a passing thought. A glitch in the system. He walks outside. Night has fallen too fast. The moon is too low. The stars too close. And the sky ripples again, like something behind it is trying to break through. He hears footsteps. Turns around. No one. But the shadows are longer now. Moving on their own. He runs. Back to his car. Slams the door shut. The radio clicks on. But this time, it's not static or voices. It's a recording of himself from the flight. Laughing. Talking. Ordering a drink. And then, quietly in the background, "Don't forget to look at the sky, Mr. Miller. It remembers you." He looks up through the windshield. The stars blink out. One by one. Then new ones appear. Forming letters. "Come back." His phone buzzes. A new message. "Final boarding. Terminal 27. One seat left. Window." And attached is a photo. Right now. From above. As if the sky itself is watching. Jake doesn't sleep. He can't. Every corner of the town feels hollow now. Like it's waiting for something. Or someone. He walks down the empty streets, the wind whispering through cracks in the pavement. Every sign, every screen, every shadow carries the same message. Return to Terminal 27. But he still doesn't know where Terminal 27 is. No airport near here even has a Terminal 27. It's not on any map. Not on any record. And yet, he knows exactly how to get there. Not because he remembers, but because something else remembers for him. He drives again. The road unfolds like it was always leading him this way. A highway he's never taken. A route that isn't on his GPS. Still, every sign says the same thing. Terminal 27 to 5 miles. The air grows colder. The trees on either side of the road stop swaying. The sky turns the color of metal. Static fills the air, not from the radio, but from the wind itself. He passes a billboard, a plane, a glowing window, and under it the words, "Flight 607, welcome home." He slams the brakes. This can't be happening. But his phone buzzes again. A new message. No number. It's time. He finally sees it through the trees. A crumbling, vine-covered building. No lights. No guards. Just a single gate lit with flickering red letters. Terminal 27. Jake walks through the shattered glass doors. No passengers. No staff. Just rows of chairs, old flight posters, and a smell, faint but familiar. The smell of the airplane cabin. He moves toward Gate B. The gate screen glows. Flight 607, now boarding, seat 27B. The gate door creaks open on its own. And beyond it, the jet bridge. Same long hallway. Same flickering lights. But this time, something's different. He hears footsteps ahead. He follows. They lead him onto the plane. Same narrow aisle. Same rows of seats. But now, every seat is occupied. By people. Some staring ahead. Some asleep. Some with faces blurred like static. One of them turns and looks at him. It's Daniel Hale. Jake steps back. Daniel speaks calmly. "You made it." "I don't want to be here," Jake says. Daniel shakes his head. "It doesn't matter what you want. You left before. That was the mistake. Once you board, you stay." "Why me?" "Because you looked out the window, Jake. You saw what was watching. Jake turns to run, but the aisle stretches longer. Like rubber. Infinite. He tries pushing past the seats, the passengers. They don't move. Don't blink. Don't breathe. He screams. Then the plane hums to life. And all the passengers whisper at once. Return to your seat. He looks down. His boarding pass is glowing in his hand. 27B. He's already sitting in it. But he's still standing. Both versions of him are here now. One sitting. One screaming. Then the lights shut off. Complete darkness. Only the hum of the engine and his own heartbeat. The intercom crackles. A voice he hasn't heard before. Inhuman. Mr. Miller. Welcome back. We've been circling for some time. You may now enjoy the view. The window shade lifts on its own. Outside, Earth is gone. Just a vast, endless sea of stars. And something bigger than any galaxy drifting closer. Watching. A shape beyond understanding. It fills the window. Jake can't breathe. Can't look away. Then a whisper in his head. You never landed. You never left. You were always here. And just like that, the plane disappears. The world fades. And Jake? He finally forgets what it felt like to be real. It's a rainy evening in Boston. Inside Logan International Airport, the announcements echo quietly across the terminal. People rush from gate to gate, dragging luggage and sipping lukewarm coffee. But at gate B27, there's no rush. No crowd. Just one name flashing silently on the screen. Flight 607, on time, now boarding. Emily Rivers walks toward the gate. She's 29. A journalist. Tired but sharp. Her notebook is always in her bag, half filled with stories no one else dares to write. She was supposed to be on flight 1123, but that flight was mysteriously canceled just an hour before departure. She didn't argue. The agent at the desk smiled too wide and said, "You've been reassigned. Lucky seat 27B. Window view." She didn't question it. She boards flight 607. The plane looks old but strangely well kept, like it had been frozen in time. She walks down the aisle. Every seat she passes, the passengers don't move. Not asleep, not awake, just sitting, staring forward. Her seat is waiting. 27B. By the window. She hesitates. Something feels off. She slides into the seat, puts her bag down, and pulls out her notebook. She notices something carved into the tray table. Faint, almost invisible. It says, "Don't look outside." She frowns, running her fingers over it. The engines start. The flight attendant stands motionless near the cockpit, eyes blank, lips curved in a fake smile. No safety instructions. No welcome speech. Just that humming sound again, low and constant. Emily looks around. Her row is full. 2 passengers beside her. But they don't blink, don't speak. Their hands rest perfectly still. She tries to speak to one. No answer. She leans back, heart racing. Opens her notebook and scribbles. Flight 607, passengers unresponsive. Flight details unknown. Something is wrong. This is not a normal plane. She feels it then, like a drop of ice down her spine. The plane isn't climbing, or descending, just floating, stuck, suspended. She turns to the window, and then remembers the carving. Don't look outside. But curiosity is stronger than fear. She slowly lifts the shade. No sky, no clouds, just black. And something in the black moves. Watches. She gasps and slams the shade down. Then she notices something. The reflection in the window. It isn't hers. It's a man, late 30s, wearing her seat, smiling, eyes hollow. And right before the reflection fades, he mouths two words. "Welcome back." Emily's phone buzzes. No service, but a message still appears. Journalists always find the truth, but not all truths want to be found. She flips the tray table open to write more. But now, something else is there. A photo of her, already on the flight, dated 5 years ago. Same seat, same clothes, same exact notebook. She looks around, whispering to herself, "What is this?" The passengers beside her finally move. They turn to her in perfect sync and say, "Seat 27B is always filled, but the flight is never over." Emily grips her notebook tightly. Her heartbeat is louder than the engines now, assuming there are engines, because the hum, it's changed. It pulses, like breathing, like something alive beneath the plane's skin. She turns to the aisle. No one's moved, except one man, 4 rows ahead. He stands slowly. His head tilts unnaturally, like a puppet finding its strings. His face is blank, but not empty, like it's waiting for a memory to return. Emily watches in silence as he points directly at her. No words, just that slow, rigid finger. Passengers begin to murmur, soft at first, then louder, repeating in whispers, "Return to your seat, return to your seat, return to your seat." Emily jumps up. She pushes past the frozen passengers, who now slowly turn their heads as she passes, one by one. She reaches the front of the cabin. The cockpit door is gone. Not locked, not closed, gone. Just a wall where a door should be. She turns back. The entire plane is shifting. Aisles moving, lights flickering, seats rearranging like a Rubik's Cube twisting itself. The numbers disappear from the overhead bins. The seat rows are no longer in order. There's no 27B. Emily runs back to where her seat was. It's not there. Her bag is gone. The notebook? Still in her hand. Only now, the pages are filled. Not in her handwriting. Each page describes the flight, in chilling detail. She looked when she was told not to. Now the sky remembers her. Now she is part of the cabin. Now the cabin remembers too. Then, on the next page, "Don't scream. It will hear you." Emily looks up. The overhead bins creak open by themselves. From each one, long black cords begin to descend. Not wires, not seatbelts. Thin, human-shaped, boneless. They slither downward, reaching. The lights flicker red. The whispering stops. And a new voice speaks over the intercom. "You've read too much, Miss Rivers." The plane reads back. The cabin moans. Every surface shifts. The walls pulse like lungs. Windows stretch wider, revealing not stars, but eyes. Dozens, watching from the void. One by one, passengers begin to smile. Too wide, and they all turn to her in sync. Emily runs. Now the plane is infinite. Doors repeat endlessly. Rows of passengers duplicated again and again. And every seat is 27B. She opens one overhead bin. It's her bag. Inside, a recorder, still running. She presses play. Her own voice whispers, "This is Emily Rivers. I'm on flight 607. It never lands. It feeds. And it keeps you if you ask too many questions." Then static. Then another voice. Familiar. "Jake Miller. We met once. You're not the first, but you might be the last. Good luck, Emily." She drops the recorder. The plane jolts violently. For the first time, it descends. The intercom crackles again. "Ladies and gentlemen, prepare for arrival. Estimated time, never." The windows go black. The aisle folds in on itself. Emily clutches her notebook. A final page flips on its own. Scrawled in blood-red ink. "To exit the story, you must become the author." The lights go out, and Flight 607 continues its journey. Somewhere, now with 2 writers on board. Silence. Total. Emily floats, not in air, but in thought. Her eyes are open, But the plane is gone. No seats. No cabin. Only pages, endless, white pages, fluttering around her like ash. She isn't falling. She isn't rising. She is suspended, held in the middle of a story still being written. A voice calls out, not aloud, but from inside her mind. You took the writer's seat, Emily. Now write your way out. Her notebook appears in her hands. The cover is cracked. The pages pulsing like a heartbeat. She opens to a blank page. Her pen moves, not with her hand, but with her thoughts. Emily stood in the dark and faced the eyes in the sky. Suddenly, light. She's back in the cabin. Alone. Everyone else is gone. Except one thing. At the end of the aisle sits a desk. Wooden. Covered in thousands of pages. She walks slowly, the floor creaking beneath her like it's alive. As she approaches the desk, she sees the truth. All the pages are stories. Dozens. Hundreds. Maybe more. Each one about a different person. Each one ends the same way. They boarded Flight 607. They never got off. Her hands shake. She flips to the last written page. There's a name at the bottom. Jake Miller. Under it, scribbled in blood. Author, unknown. She flips the page. A new one begins. Emily Rivers sat at the desk and picked up the pen. And when she did, the plane stopped moving. She hesitates. Her hands reach out. She picks up the pen. The walls groan. Lights flicker. Something shrieks in the overhead speakers, not words, but rage. She realizes it then. The plane isn't the prison. The story is, it survives through memory, through repetition, through the next person who tells it. Emily stares at the page, then writes, "This is the last flight of 607. No more passengers. No more stories. The end." The plane jerks violently. Screams erupt from every vent, every window, every empty seat. Not human screams. The story screaming, fighting to stay alive. Pages fly off the desk. Her notebook bursts into flame. The intercom blares. Writers cannot leave. "You started this." She screams back, "No, I'm ending it." She hurls the notebook into the aisle. It burns white hot. The fire spreads, not destruction, but cleansing. The walls collapse into light. The floor falls into ink. The plane groans one last time. Silence. Emily opens her eyes. She's lying on grass. The sun is up. A bird sings in a tree. She's outside a small airport cafe. People walk by. Normal. Laughing. Alive. No one recognizes her. No one speaks her name. She looks down. She's holding a boarding pass. Flight 607. The seat is blank. And the back of the ticket simply says, "You wrote the ending." But endings can be rewritten. She drops the pass. It flutters into the breeze. Far away in the sky above, something watches. Just for a moment. Then it disappears behind the clouds. Emily thought she had ended it. Burned the story. Escaped the plane. Closed the book. But stories like Flight 607 don't burn. They echo. Days pass. She avoids airports. Doesn't take trains. Won't even step into elevators. She walks everywhere now. But the feeling never leaves. That weight in the air. That hum beneath silence. That presence just outside her vision. And then the whispers begin. So, incomplete. Not in the air, in her thoughts. They sound like her voice. But aren't. You ended nothing. You're just the next chapter. She returns to her apartment. Tries to move on. But her walls start changing. Tiny cracks form in patterns she can't explain. One night, she traces a crack near her bedroom mirror. It spells a number. 27B. Her phone buzzes. No number. Just a message. Passengers still unaccounted for. Return to your seat. She throws the phone. It breaks. But the message still appears. On the wall. In her reflection. On her skin. Her notebook, charred and burned, somehow appears back on her desk. But now it has a new title. The Whisper That Followed. A sequel to Flight 607. And the author? Emily Rivers. She tries to destroy it again. Tears it. burns it, but every night it returns, closer to her bed, closer to her mind, and each time it has more pages. Pages she doesn't remember writing. Pages that describe what she will do tomorrow, what she will say, who she will see, and what will happen when she looks up. Because the notebook always ends the same way now. She looked up and saw the cabin, still waiting, still watching, still boarding. One night, unable to sleep, Emily turns on the TV. Static. Then the screen flashes once. A commercial. A smiling flight attendant says, "Thank you for choosing Flight 607. We know you can't leave." Then gone. Normal programming resumes. She throws the remote. She can't take this anymore. She grabs the notebook and writes in shaking hands, "This ends tonight. I reject the story. I reject the seat. I reject the plane." A knock at the door. Slow. 3 taps. Then silence. She opens it. No one's there. Just a boarding pass on the ground. Flight 607. Seat 27B. Departing. Now. Destination. Unwritten. Emily screams. But there's no one to hear. Because she's not in her apartment anymore. She's standing in the middle of a terminal. Rusted. Silent. Gate 27 glows red ahead. Her legs move on their own. She drops the notebook. It floats in the air behind her. The last page writes itself as she walks. She ran from the story, but the story ran faster. She steps through the gate. The door closes. The hum returns, and the window next to seat 27B glows softly. This time, the view is different. Not the sky, not stars, just a mirror, and in it, smiling, too wide. The cabin is colder now. Not in temperature, in feeling, like the air has forgotten what warmth was ever like. Emily sits in 27B, staring at her own reflection in the window. Only it's not reflecting her anymore. It's watching her. She's breathing. She's alive. But the plane is breathing too. Not with engines. Not with fuel. With memory. She looks down. The seatback tray in front of her has changed. It's no longer a plastic table. It's a ledger. Leather-bound. Ancient. Heavy. Stamped in silver across the cover. Flight 607 passenger log. She opens it. The pages crack like old bones. Inside, names. Hundreds. Maybe thousands. Each name followed by a seat number, a date, and a status. Boarded. Never departed. She flips back to the first page. The first name. Jake Miller, seat 13A, boarded, 1987, status, lost. She turns the page. The second name. Rachel Sung, seat 4C, boarded, 1992, status, echoed. More names follow. Some with dates going back further than air travel should allow. 1911, 1852, 1789. Somehow, this plane has been flying longer than time admits. She reaches the middle of the book and stops. Emily Rivers, seat 27B, boarded, unknown, status, in progress. Her hands tremble. She tries to write departed next to her name, but the ink disappears. Erased instantly. She tries again. This time the book writes back, "You cannot leave what you have authored." Suddenly, a low chime echoes through the cabin. Not from the intercom. From the seats. The passengers around her, they're awake now. No longer frozen, but not human. Their eyes are hollow. Their mouths stitched into weak smiles. Their bodies twitch like puppets on invisible strings. And all of them slowly turn to her, in perfect, mechanical unison. Then one stands. A man in a business suit. His name tag says, Marcus Lee, lead steward, Flight 607. He speaks in a calm, empty voice. "Miss Rivers, you've read the log. Now you'll update it." She backs away. No, she whispers. I didn't board. I was forced. I didn't write this. The steward holds up a mirror. Her reflection? Holding the pen. Smiling. Writing. She drops the ledger. But it doesn't hit the floor. It floats. Pages flutter, flipping to a blank entry. A pen appears midair. Waiting. The steward speaks again. Flight 607 is an unfinished book. Each writer becomes a passenger. Each passenger, a page. The other passengers begin to murmur. In their laps, notebooks appear. All identical to Emily's. And all of them write. Words in every language. Some just draw. Some scratch. Some cry. But they all filtrate. Because that's the curse. You don't escape the plane. You become part of its story. Emily grabs her notebook and flips to the final page. One final sentence appears in real time. She realizes now she was never writing the story. The story was writing her. A bell dings overhead. Seatbelt light flickers on. Outside the window, no sky. No clouds. No land. Just an infinite loop of mirrors. Each one reflecting someone trying to leave. And failing. Forever. Emily looks back at the ledger. And slowly, without choosing to, she writes the next name. Marcus Lee, Seat 1A, status, released. And as she does, his face changes. He gasps. And vanishes. The seat he was in? Now empty. The whisper returns in her mind. To leave, someone must take your place. Emily looks around the cabin. Hundreds of eyes staring. Waiting. Because someone, someday, will board this flight. Someone who thinks they're just catching a late plane. But really, they're walking into a story that needs another name. And Emily now waits in seat 1A. Her pen ready. Smiling. Just enough. Flight 607 continues. There's always one seat open. And a story begging to be finished. For now.